Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Justin Wolf from Wolf Customs, and what I have here today is the most controversial Mora knife to date, and that is the Mora Pathfinder. I have never seen an uproar in the knife community as to when this knife was released. People went ape shit crazy. Not because they were excited to get their hands on the knife, but because they were excited that the cost of the knife drastically went up. And I can understand, people getting a little upset about that, because this is coming directly from the most popular Mora to date, the Mora Bushcraft Black. Then you have the Mora Pathfinder. So you can see just a couple inches. Don't know the exact specs. I don't really care about the exact specs. You guys can find that yourselves. So what I care about is this knife going to perform like this knife, and is it going to outperform it and do more because of the extended blade? Is it going to justify the cost? Honestly, don't know. Never used it. It's still brand spanking new. Now, like I said, I can understand why everybody kind of went into an uproar over this knife. It is a pretty drastic jump in cost. Now, I'm not necessarily defending this jump of cost, but I would like to point out something. Is prior to the release of this knife, you had an absolute ton of people, including myself, would talk about this knife here, as well as the companion and the robust and all that good stuff. And they would say, and I would say, that knife will outperform 90% of the custom and high-end knives out there. The custom and high-end knives are $100, $200, $300, right? So, if this will outperform it, and this will last a lifetime, doesn't that make this knife a $100, $200, $300 knife? In my eyes, yes it does. If this knife will outlast and outperform the high-end knives, in my eyes, this knife is worth $100. But, again, like I said, I'm not defending the cost, but I'm not necessarily criticizing Mora for doing that, if it's worth the cost or worth the price. You know what I mean? So when I pulled this out of the package, the first thing I seen was the sheath, and I thought, well, maybe okay, maybe they finally put forth a little bit more effort on the sheath. It's not that plastic sheath. And then I opened it up, and I actually pulled the retention straps away from the blade because, well, you guys know that I make leather sheaths, so I know how important it is to keep your retention strap away. And I pulled it out. Even though I did that, you can still see that it cut into the retention strap, even though I pulled it away. So if you go pulling this out all willy-nilly like, just undo it, pull it out, more than likely you're probably going to sever that off, rendering this sheath useless, because there's no real retention there. It's just a folded over piece of plastic. Quite frankly, this sheath is absolute crap. Okay? Just absolute, right in your face crap. I can accept that with all the other Moras. Absolutely, I can accept it hands down. These sheaths are not the greatest, but at the cost of the blade, I am willing to look past that. Absolutely. But when you have this knife jumping up in cost, I'm pretty confident that that should warrant a little bit better of a sheath, Mora. I really do. You can do better than this. You absolutely can. Get some Kydex, okay? You can do better. So, the sheath is crap. Now let's see if the knife is. Now the one thing I can tell you about this knife so far is just like we have grown to expect from Mora, it comes with an absolute razor edge. Mora always gives you some of the most, or the sharpest knives straight from the factory, from any other knife manufacturer out there. Very sharp. The spine, this probably has the sharpest spine that I've ever encountered on a knife. The spine itself, if you're not careful, you could cut yourself with the spine of this knife. That's all there is to it. If I was to pull that across on my finger like that, I guarantee it would cut it. But anyway, being the fact that this thing is as sharp as it is, at 1/8 inch thick, it should be a good carver. Should feather stick relatively easy, right? We're gonna find out. Now I'll tell you what, I don't necessarily like the feel right off the bat. I feel like I need to choke up on this knife, but I have nowhere to choke up to. Definitely not my best feather sticking, but it still is putting forth some curls. That was not my best feather stick job at all. I'm going to get another piece of wood and we're going to try that again, because I'm pretty sure that I can do a lot better than that. It's a little bit finer. Still not really curling the way I want it to. But it's basically the same blade as a Mora Bushcraft Black. And I can get really good curls with it, so not entirely sure why I'm not getting very good curls on this one. I always do feather sticks like this, but for the sake of argument, let's come back here. And there's what I'm looking for. Now, they're getting very fine, and they're starting to curl over exactly how I want. And with a little bit more time, I could get some very tight curls. That's what I'm looking for. So will it do feather sticks? Absolutely, it'll do feather sticks. Now, as far as fine task goes, I always have a saying: if your knife will make you a tent stake, your knife will make you just about everything when it comes to fine task. Unless you're really wanting to make some very intricate work and everything else, for the most part, your knife's going to do the job. So if I was to make this into a stake, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get green wood, not necessarily a dead wood. Take this edge off, so as we hammer it in, it doesn't have a tendency to want to split on us. Then, basically, is what I'm going to do, is I'm going to, right in this area here, I'm either going to push in and rotate it with my hand, or I'm going to set it down and coax it a little bit with a baton. And that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm going to give it a couple good nudges, turn it. All the way around it. And after I've gone all the way around it, the Mora Pathfinder is biting very deep. It's not making me work hard at all. I like that. So far, it's living up to the expectations that I have when it comes to my Mora knives. And my loop would go around there, cinch down in that groove. So of course, the next thing is just to put and again, the Mora is chewing through it. No problem. Not working hard at all. That was nice. Did the job for sure. Alright, now we're moving into the part that I don't personally like, and that's batoning and chopping. I don't like doing it, but you guys might. If you like doing that, it's your tool, it's your choice. So, should this knife be able to chop? And should this knife be able to baton? Absolutely. So, let's see if we can chop through this, shall we? Now, I don't do the whole traditional chop, chop, chop like that. I just think that that's, well, wasted time and energy, I guess. So, It's not really doing a great job chopping this, but that also could be me, because like I said, I don't chop my knives. So therefore, is my form the best? Or is my technique the best? No, probably not. Personally, I just think that this is absolutely wasted energy. I really do. And that's why. A saw. Did it chop? Yes. Is it going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of calories to go against grain and chop wood? Yes. Should we carry a saw? Yes. Alright, this knife should baton this piece easy, with no problem at all. It's not very big. And obviously, just as predicted, it does just that. So anyway, honestly, you guys can see that it's not having a problem at all, you know, batoning that that smaller weight wood. Not at all. I'm going to look around a little bit, see if I can find some larger wood. Alright, here's what I got. Nothing major, about 4 inches or so. That blade should tackle it no problem. But at the same time, it's a bigger log, so we should know how it's going to do on something even larger. See, I'm in a knot right here, okay? So if the knife is going to break or chip or anything, now's the time. I hope it doesn't. No chips. It's not bowed. So we got through it. That's why I don't like batoning, because it very easily could have. enough of that. Yes, it chops. It's not the greatest. Does it baton? Yes, batons quite well. Does it carve? Yes. Carved, absolutely amazing. Feather stick? Very good. Spine sharp enough to make a fire? Let's find out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make some more curls. I'm going to really focus on making some really small, tight ones. And I don't care if they come off the stick, I actually prefer them to come off. Most knives I get better curls when I do it up here, but on this knife, it's the opposite. Okay, I'm going to make a few more of these and combine them with the ones that I made earlier. Alright, now obviously if I really wanted to assure myself that I was going to get a fire, I would actually take some time to collect some tinder. Not going to do that today. Just going to make these shavings and we're going to really try that spine out, because chances are we're not going to get a flame, in the first couple tries. So it's going to give us multiple tries with that spine to really get a feel for it. So let's try if we was to brace it on the log. Works well. And a lot of people will rock it, like this. The rod that I have right now is not a good rod for that. It does not work. But Mora, Pathfinder, that spine throws gobs of sparks. Alright, so what are my final thoughts on this knife? Is it worth the extra money? And by the way, that blade is still very sharp. Is it worth the extra money? Well, that depends. I think if you are somebody that likes to baton and you are somebody that likes to chop, I absolutely believe it's worth the money. It is a longer blade, gives you a little bit more reach. Mora has an outstanding reputation, so you can be confident that this knife is going to be a good, reliable knife. Now, if you are somebody that does not like to baton, does not like to chop, then is this the knife for you? Absolutely not. There are other knives out there, the Mora Black, the Companion, the Robust, the HD. There's a lot of them out there that's going to give you the exact same quality as the Pathfinder for less money. But if you really want to get out there and baton, I can't say anything bad about this knife. I was a little concerned in the beginning because I do have a tendency to where I feel like I need to choke up on it, because it just doesn't feel right, it doesn't. But it still performed. You know, I tried in the beginning, I tried to use it like I normally use my knives, and I had to adjust. You know, when I was feather sticking, I had to adjust, come back here to where I could get a little bit more control, because I just don't know that I was getting the control that I wanted out there. Spine, well, you saw that it's very sharp. The knife went through that nice twist in the log. Didn't bend, didn't break, didn't chip, didn't nick. So, the sheath is crap. For the price tag, it needs to come with a better sheath, plain and simple. You shouldn't have to rely on somebody like me to make you a sheath for this knife, because that's exactly what you're going to have to do. If you buy this knife, you might as well tell yourself right then that you're going to be spending more money on a sheath, because that strap is going to cut all the way through, irregardless if you push it back or not. So you might as well just tell yourself that you're going to have to come to Wolf Customs to get yourself a leather sheath, or I know some really good workers out there that make some fantastic Kydex sheaths if that's what you like. I will put you in contact with them, and they can make you some amazing Kydex sheaths as well. So anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this review on this knife, and understand I'm still on the fence, to be honest with you. Is it worth that kind of price difference? You know, there's a lot of people out there that's going to say, well, it's because of Dave Canterbury, and it's not. Do you see his logo anywhere on this knife? You know, he doesn't own the word Pathfinder. You know, people are out there securing words nowadays, but he does not own the word Pathfinder. So it's not because of Dave. Why, I'm not entirely sure, but I personally feel, as it is, you know what, I'm not even on the fence. As it stands right now, do I feel that this knife is worth that kind of price jump? No, I don't. And the reason for that is this. If this came with a nice sheath, I mean a nice, reliable Kydex sheath, then I would say, yes, I do believe that this knife is worth the extra amount. So anyway, probably going to get yelled at by that. Probably going to get yelled at a lot from this video. Because like I said, this is definitely the most controversial knife out there. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and as always, have a good one.